They called my name over the intercom. Final boarding for flight 709, gate 43. Only, the airport map didn't show a gate 43. It ended at gate 42. I asked the woman at the information desk. She didn't even look up, just pointed to the far end of Terminal D. "Keep walking," she mumbled. "You'll find it." I remember glancing back at her. Her eyes were cloudy, vacant, like she wasn't really seeing me. The kind of stare you'd expect from someone deep in sleep paralysis. I should have turned around then, but I didn't. I kept walking. The lights flickered as I passed gate 40. By gate 41, the terminal was dead silent. No announcements, no passengers, just me. There were no cleaners, no security, no buzzing carts, not even distant rolling luggage. My footsteps sounded unnatural, too loud, too sharp. The acoustics of the hallway had changed, like I was walking through an empty theater. When I finally saw a rusted sign that read 43, nailed crookedly above a roped-off hallway, something deep in my gut said, "Turn around." But I was desperate. I had to make that flight. It wasn't a normal hallway. The tile floor gave way to concrete. The walls were bare, industrial. No ads, no flight information, no signs of life. The hallway smelled like wet concrete and old metal. There was a low humming in the air, like the kind you hear in server rooms, only deeper. It made my teeth itch. At the end was a door, black, locked. Then the speaker above crackled. "Passenger Jacob Miller, gate 43, final call." I didn't tell them my name, ever. At that moment, I felt it, something watching me. I turned around quickly, expecting someone behind me. The hallway had changed. It wasn't a hallway anymore. It was a staircase, leading down. The overhead lights were gone, replaced by swinging bulbs that pulsed with a strange red glow. The temperature dropped. My breath steamed in the air, and someone was walking up it. Not running, not crawling. Walking, calm, measured. The way someone walks when they already know where you're going. I backed up, heart racing. I reached for my phone. No signal, no battery percentage either. Just a black screen, and the faint outline of my horrified reflection. "Jacob Miller," the voice whispered again. But now, it wasn't from the speaker. It was behind me. I turned. The black door had opened. Inside was another terminal. At least that's what it looked like at first glance. Same chairs, same signage, but wrong. The colors were off. Everything tinted in a sickly green, like night vision footage. I stepped inside, hoping to find help. Instead, I found passengers. But they weren't moving. They were seated like mannequins, all facing the gate. Their faces were blurred, as if someone had smeared their features like wet paint. One of them stood up, slowly, turned to me. It was me, not just similar, identical. My clothes, my scar, my face. "You're late," he said. His voice sounded like mine, but layered, as if multiple versions of me were speaking at once. I ran. Back through the door, back up the staircase. But the stairs never ended. I climbed for what felt like hours. My legs burned, my lungs screamed. Every few minutes, a flight announcement echoed from above.
"Passenger Jacob Miller, gate 43, final call."
And always the same reply from below. The sound of footsteps, steady, coming. When I finally collapsed, I wasn't in the airport anymore. I was on a train platform. Same fluorescent lights, same loudspeaker, but this time, it was a train calling my name. I saw the sign. Departure Terminal Echo. I don't remember how I got out, or if I did. All I know is, I woke up the next day in a hotel bed across from the airport. No record of my flight, no sign of a Gate 43. My name had been scrubbed from the airline system. My boarding pass? Blank. Just static, where the QR code should have been. Have you ever walked into a part of an airport that didn't feel quite right? Have you ever felt like something knew your name before you spoke it? Let me know in the comments if this reminds you of anything. I still hear the voice sometimes, in static, in the ringing of terminals, in the pauses between airport announcements. It always says the same thing.
Passenger Jacob Miller, Gate 43, final call.
And I swear, one of these days, I'm going to walk toward it again. I was stuck on a 7-hour layover in Budapest, too tired to explore, too wired to sleep. I bought access to the private lounge, what they called the Mavani room, which I later learned meant marble. Fitting, because everything in there looked carved out of time. It was empty, but it was warm, quiet, free wine, the kind of quiet that almost dares you to fall asleep. There was only one other person in the room, an older woman in a brown coat. She sat facing the window, staring at the tarmac, not blinking, not sipping anything, just watching. I nodded at her. She didn't respond. I figured maybe she didn't speak English, or maybe she was deaf, or maybe she just didn't want to be bothered. Either way, I kept to myself. After 20 minutes, I heard her whisper, "Don't board." I looked up. Her mouth hadn't moved. She was still facing the window. The whisper had felt like it had come from behind my ears, like it was inside my head. The wine glass in my hand suddenly felt much heavier. "Don't board that flight. It doesn't land." Now she turned her head. Her eyes were bleeding, not crying, bleeding. Blood traced down the creases of her face, thick, black in the lounge's dim amber light. I shot up from my seat, heart racing, and stumbled out the door, leaving my backpack behind. I reached the front desk in under a minute, babbling about the woman inside. The man behind the counter blinked at me. "Sir, that lounge is closed for renovation." No, I was just in there. "There's a woman in there. Her eyes..." He cut me off. "The lounge was sealed off 2 weeks ago. The keycard you used isn't valid." I begged him to check the security footage, and after several minutes of convincing, and a supervisor's nod, they did. The footage showed me, alone, entering, sitting, pouring a drink, talking to no one. But then something caught our eye. As I exited the lounge just before the door shut, there was a frame, only one, where a second reflection appeared in the lounge window. A woman, in a brown coat. She was smiling. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I was curled up in a plastic chair near the food court when I heard another whisper. "They don't land." I shot upright. Across the terminal, the woman stood beneath the departure screen. I blinked. She was gone. I raced to the counter, asked if there was another flight to London. "Sir," the woman at the desk said, frowning, "your original flight never left. Mechanical failure. No one boarded." "So it was canceled?" She checked again. "No, not canceled either. Just no departure logged. It's like it vanished from the system." That flight, number 3087, wasn't mentioned again, anywhere. Not online, not in airport logs, not in the news. A post surfaced on an obscure aviation forum, one that got pulled within hours. A satellite had captured a 737, flying in circles over the North Sea. Transponder off, no contact. The aircraft ID? 3087. Same flight. Still airborne. "Don't board," she said. If someone told you not to board a flight, said it would never land, Would you listen? Or would you take your chances? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because sometimes, ignoring a whisper might just trap you forever at 30,000 feet. The woman in the brown coat, I still see her sometimes, in reflections, in puddles, in windows of taxis, and I swear every time I check into a flight, her name is right before mine, on the passenger list. It was 3 a.m. at JFK. I was jet-lagged, stumbling toward the carousel. The concourse was nearly empty, just a few stragglers. Most of them are asleep on their luggage or hunched over dead phones. And that's when I heard it. A baby is crying. Not unusual. Airports see families all the time, but this was different. It was coming from inside the carousel. Not near it, not around it. From inside the conveyor system, the deep metal tunnel where bags roll out. A soft, gurgling cry, fragile, like a baby trapped inside a steel womb. I walked closer, heart pounding, certain I'd find some kind of explanation. The belt was still, not moving. The crying echoed. I bent down, trying to peer into the dark space where the bags emerge. Hello? Is someone there? Then something reached out. A hand, small, too small. Skin pale blue, almost translucent, with blackened nails that clicked lightly against the rubber flap. Then it vanished. I staggered backward, breath caught in my throat. A security officer showed up 20 minutes later. I tried explaining what I saw, what I heard. He didn't laugh. He didn't even react, just stared past me, toward the belt. Then he muttered, "Again?" When they finally turned on the belt, no baby, no hands, no noise, no sign anyone had ever been inside. But my suitcase came out last. It looked tampered with. The zipper was off by half an inch, a tiny smear of blood across the handle. Inside, everything seemed normal except for one thing: a pacifier. Old, cracked, faded blue, and covered in something sticky and dark. I tossed it. Left the airport. Told myself it was exhaustion, stress, imagination. But that night, back at my hotel, the crying returned. Only this time, it was coming from inside the closet. I opened it. Empty. But the mirror on the closet door had a message drawn in fog. That wasn't luggage. The next morning, I returned to the airport. I needed answers. The baggage claim area was busier now, but I noticed something. The monitors above each carousel had small, digital counters beneath the flight numbers. Most of them just cycled normally, except one. It showed negative numbers. 44, then 43, like it was counting down. I asked a janitor what it meant. He didn't answer, just looked at me, jaw clenched, and slowly walked away. Later, in a Reddit thread, I found something horrifying. A woman had posted 3 years ago about a crying sound coming from baggage claim. JFK, Terminal 4, same time of night. Her luggage never came. She never posted again. And the account? Deleted 48 hours later. I checked into my next flight early. Sat at the gate, paranoid, uneasy. When I went to check my bag at the kiosk, the system glitched. The screen flickered, showing me a map of JFK's conveyor system. It was massive, miles of tunnels. In the center of the map was a blinking red dot. Label, Infant 70709, still active. I haven't checked a bag since. If you heard a baby crying from inside a baggage carousel, would you investigate? Or walk away like nothing happened? Tell me below. And if you've ever lost a bag you swore you zipped shut, maybe, just maybe, it wasn't a mistake. Because some things don't want to be found. Some things want to return themselves. My flight was delayed 8 hours. I was supposed to leave at 10 p.m., but a storm rolled in. A wall of bruised clouds shut down most of the East Coast. By midnight, the entire airport felt sedated, slowed, like time itself had been told to wait. Terminal E was still lit, still alive, technically. A few gate agents wandered like ghosts. A janitor pushed a mop so slowly, it looked like performance art. I dragged myself to the far corner of the terminal, near gate E14, pulled 2 chairs together to sleep. It wasn't comfortable, but nothing about airports is. I wrapped my hoodie tight, tried to block out the buzz of fluorescence overhead. Then I realized something strange. The buzz wasn't overhead anymore. It was coming from the walls. I woke up some time later. No idea how long I'd been out. The chairs were the same, my bag untouched. But something had changed. It was quiet. Unnaturally quiet. No announcements, no footsteps, no carts, no wheels, no crying babies. Just silence, thick enough to press against my ears. I sat up, looked around. All the monitors were off. Flight info, advertisements, the news feed above the newsstand. All black. All except one. Gate E17. The screen above it flickered with greenish static. Then, as if it knew I was watching, it cleared. Boarding, now. I froze. There was no plane outside. Just fog. Dense, swirling like smoke caught in a jar. I stood slowly, looked around. I wasn't alone. Passengers filled the terminal, at least 50, but they weren't moving. They were standing, perfectly still. Eyes closed, faces pointed toward the ceiling, mouths slightly open, like they were sleepwalking or praying or listening. Then, at once, they began to move. They didn't talk, didn't blink, just walked, in perfect silence, toward gate E17. At first I followed, maybe out of curiosity, maybe fear of being left behind. As they approached the gate, something stranger happened. The jet bridge wasn't there. Instead, where it should have connected, a staircase had descended. Slick, metallic, vanishing into the fog. And they went down it, one by one, no hesitation. That's when I stopped. I backed away, slowly. The fog pulsed, not with wind, but with sound. A low-frequency hum, like 1,000 engines idling in harmony. Then the intercom system crackled. That familiar pop before an announcement. But what came next chilled me to my spine. Welcome to terminal sleep. Thank you for surrendering your wakefulness. I ran, bolted back down the terminal, past the empty gates, past a vending machine still playing a jingle no one could hear. But something had changed again. Every directional sign now read, "Arrival only." I found an emergency stairwell, burst into it. Concrete walls, no lights, just the sound of my breathing. At the third landing, I stopped, caught my breath, and heard it. Footsteps, slow, even, coming up. Not echoing, not slipping, just gaining. I didn't wait. Flew down the steps, hit the bottom, found myself in a hallway I didn't recognize. Gray walls, a single flickering light, a glass panel labeled, "Crew nap area, do not enter." I hesitated. The footsteps behind me, closer. I pushed the door open, slipped inside. A long room lined with beds, each enclosed in a translucent pod, like something from a sci-fi cryolab. And inside each pod, a person, asleep, but not breathing. One pod was empty, its cover half open. On the floor next to it, a name tag. It read, my name. My phone buzzed. It shouldn't have. No signal. No Wi-Fi. But it buzzed. A voicemail. Unknown number. I hit play. It was my voice. Only slowed down, distorted. Come back. We saved your place.
I dropped the phone. It clattered across the floor, slid under one of the pods.
I didn't chase it. Instead, I ran, back into the stairwell, up 3 flights, down a hallway, around a bend, and suddenly, I was back at Terminal E. Only, it wasn't empty anymore. People laughing, announcements overhead, coffee brewing, security yelling. Everything back to normal. I checked the departures board. My flight? Delayed another hour. No mention of gate E17. No mention of flight 0000. No fog, no static. I approached a gate agent, asked casually, "Hey, was this terminal closed for anything tonight?" She looked at me, confused. "No, sir. We've been open all night." "But the monitors were down, and the fog, and the gate—" She cut me off. "Sir, everything's been operating as usual." I started to argue, then I saw something. Behind her, just past the terminal window, a staircase descending into nothing. Have you ever seen an airport so empty it felt like you were the only one alive? Tell me in the comments, because sometimes silence isn't peace. It's a sign something else has taken over. The next day, I searched online for terminal sleep. Nothing official. But on an obscure forum for airline workers, I found a thread. Deleted within hours. I saved the page. Someone wrote, "If you're ever alone in a terminal after 1 a.m. and the boards go dark, don't approach gate E17. Just lie down, go to sleep. You don't want to wake up in the wrong place." I was at a remote airport in Alaska. 1 gate, 1 flight a day. The kind of place where your boarding pass is still a piece of paper, and the heater rattles like it's coughing up its last breath. Our flight was supposed to leave at 7:45 a.m. sharp. 12 passengers total. The waiting area had cracked vinyl seats and a vending machine that only accepted quarters. Just as we were boarding, the intercom crackled. "We regret to inform you that Flight 187 has crashed. All souls lost." People froze. The woman next to me dropped her coffee. The pilot, chatting casually with the ticket agent, went pale. The gate agent looked confused, checked her radio, shrugged. "That's our flight number," I said. "Well," she smiled weakly, "you're not dead yet." Laughter rippled through the group, awkward, forced. But something felt off. I checked my phone. No signal. I asked others. Same. No bars. No internet. The airport's Wi-Fi password didn't work. I tried to pull up the flight info on my app. It crashed. Then, when I reopened it, Flight 187 was listed as departed. Destination? Unknown. Time? Null. As we boarded, I noticed the plane looked wrong. Not damaged, just old. Like it had been freshly restored from a hangar left untouched since the 1960s. No airline logo, just gray metal. Inside, green cloth seats, ashtrays in the armrests, safety cards printed in Cyrillic and English. A man across the aisle leaned toward me. "This is a ghost run," he whispered. I blinked. "A what?" He didn't respond, just stared forward, hands folded. His breath fogged slightly in the air, even though the cabin was warm. The flight attendant walked down the aisle, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Her voice, flat, automated. "In the event of an emergency, do not resist." We took off. Window shades bolted shut. Lights dimmed to a dull green. No announcements, no flight map, just static humming through the overhead speakers. I glanced around. Every passenger was asleep, except me. I reached for the call button. Nothing. So I stood, walked toward the galley. The curtain was slightly open. Inside, no one. Just empty racks. A buzzing monitor showed our altitude. It read 13,000 feet. Suddenly, the intercom popped again. "Thank you for flying with us. We will be arriving at Terminal Omega in 30 minutes. Estimated time, yesterday." I rushed to the cockpit. Door open. No one inside. The controls were moving by themselves. Gauges twitching, compass needles spinning like a toy. I turned around. Every seat, empty. They were all gone. What would you do if your flight disappeared from the system and your fellow passengers vanished mid-air? Drop your theories in the comments, because not every flight has a destination. Some just circle until you forget you ever boarded. I blacked out, woke up on a bench inside the Alaska airport. Flight 187 had vanished from the board. The plane, gone. Tarmac, empty. The ticket agent handed me a new boarding pass. Same gate, different flight number. "Better luck this time," she said, and winked. Behind her, the intercom sparked to life, one last time. "Final boarding call for Flight 187. All souls report." They wheeled it out after everyone else had left. A single black suitcase, unmarked. I watched from a distance. A janitor approached. He recoiled, then calmly zipped it back up, dragged it into the maintenance hallway. Curious, I followed. Down that hallway, a locked steel door. I watched him enter the code, 666. Inside, not a closet, a stairwell. Going underground. I never saw the janitor again. The next day, my flight got delayed. While walking around, I found that same suitcase, unattended, at my gate. It had my name on the tag. That first night I told myself I imagined it. A mix-up, a trick of the light. Maybe it was just someone else's bag. Airports are full of duplicates. But when I returned to my hotel, something was off. Lights flickering. Keycard wouldn't work. First 3 times. When I finally got in, there it was. That suitcase. Right inside the door. At the foot of the bed. The tag was handwritten, red ink. Point of, you. I didn't open it, not at first. I called the front desk, asked if someone had delivered anything. They said no. Security came, looked inside. It was empty. They laughed it off, probably a prank.
One of the guards stayed behind.
"I've seen that bag before," he muttered. "When?" He looked pale. "Last year, same terminal, different name on the tag. That guy never left." I barely slept, left the TV on just for noise. Around 3:33 a.m., I woke up. No sound. TV static. Phone off. The suitcase was open. But now, it wasn't empty. It was filled with water. Ice cold. Floating inside, a boarding pass. Same name, same destination. But the date? Tomorrow. Time? 3:33 a.m. What would you do if a suitcase followed you home from the airport? One that knew your name? Tell me in the comments. Because baggage doesn't always mean lost. Sometimes it finds you. My boarding pass said gate A5. When I got there, it had changed to A7, then A12. Every time I reached the new gate, another update. I ran around in circles 2 hours. Finally, I confronted an agent, showed her the app. She stared, horrified, then turned her screen to show the manifest. That flight was canceled 10 years ago. The plane disappeared over the Pacific. "But," I stuttered, "it keeps updating. Your name shouldn't be on the list. None of the passengers were ever found." And yet my app still said, "Boarding now." It started like any other connection, tight but doable. I landed at 4:12 p.m. 35-minute gap to the next gate. Rushed, but not impossible. At gate A5, I paused. Checked the app. No longer A5, now A7. By the time I got there, A12, then A14, then B3. I thought, glitch. But at B3, something changed. Signage shifted. Airline logos I didn't recognize. Destinations I'd never heard of. I looked up. This concourse, not listed on the airport's map. And the people, wrong. Everyone moved too slowly. Faces half hidden. Conversations muffled, distorted, like glass between us.
I tried to exit, backtrack, but the signs were gone. Every hallway, another gate, another update. Now it said gate A0. There is no gate A0. I asked for help, flagged an agent in a crisp uniform I didn't recognize. He looked at my phone, frowned, called another. They whispered. Then he said, "Please follow me." He led me behind a locked gray door. Inside, dozens of monitors, security footage. Some live, some frozen. One showed a plane, mid-air, still, like time had stopped. Another, me, standing, waiting. "Where's that feed from?" I asked. "Flight 1914, he said. "You're not supposed to see this." They let me go, warned me, "Delete the app, don't talk." I didn't listen. Updates kept coming. Every night, new gates, new times, new destinations. Sometimes the ticket reads, "Unknown airport." Sometimes, "We're still looking for you." And sometimes, right before sleep, I get a ping. "Boarding now." Has your flight app ever glitched in a way that made no sense? Gate changes, flights that didn't exist, names you didn't recognize? Drop your creepiest travel tech moment below. Because some itineraries never get closed. Next time you fly, just double-check your gate. And if it changes more than 3 times, don't follow it.
There was a mirrored wall at the end of Gate C, one I'd never noticed before. Except when I walked past, my reflection didn't match. It lagged behind. I stopped. It didn't. I walked left. It walked right. Then it reached out and tapped the glass from the other side. At first, I thought I was just exhausted. Jet lag does strange things to perception. But this felt deliberate. Like it was watching me. The mirror, the size of a hangar wall, too clean, too perfect. No visible edges or seams, no signs, no cleaning smudges. Just a seamless sheet of glass where my reflection moved wrong. Every time I turned away, I'd catch it moving in the corner of my eye, delayed by half a second, or smiling when I wasn't. I decided to test it. I waved. It waved back, slowly. I leaned in close, and it blinked. I didn't. That's when I heard a voice, faint, familiar, my own. "Come inside. It's warmer here." I touched the glass. It wasn't cold. It wasn't warm. It was soft, like skin stretched tight. Behind me, a gate agent appeared. She said nothing, just stared. Her reflection, gone. I turned. She was still there, but the mirror showed only me. No agent, no terminal, just me. Then the lights behind me blinked out, one by one. The terminal faded, but the mirror world stayed bright. I tried walking away. Every corner of the airport had a mirror. The bathroom, the elevator, even the tarmac windows, reflecting me wrong. In one, I had no eyes. In another, I was much older. In another, I wasn't alone. That night, I booked a hotel nearby and swore I'd never fly through that airport again. But when I opened the hotel elevator, mirror, same one, same lag, only this time, my reflection held up a boarding pass. Flight 9999, Terminal C, Gate M. There is no Gate M. If your reflection ever blinked out of sync, or smiled when you didn't? What would you do? Let me know below. Because some mirrors don't reflect where you've been. They show you where you're going. And sometimes they want you to stay. We took off at 8 p.m., scheduled to land in Chicago in 3 hours. But at hour 4, the pilot said we were still circling. Fog delay, he said. Hour 6, no landing. Hour 9, the cabin lights dimmed. Flight attendants stopped responding. Hour 12, new announcement. Thank you for flying with us. Welcome to Flight 187 again. We weren't circling, we weren't flying, we were trapped in a loop, and no one else seemed to notice. The man beside me hadn't moved in hours. His coffee still full, eyes open, unfocused. I waved my hand in front of his face, nothing. I checked the in-flight map, still circling over the Great Lakes. ETA kept shifting, 11:47 p.m., 3:12 a.m., then undefined. The pilot's voice came on again. We are experiencing a minor temporal disturbance. Please remain calm. I rang the attendant call button. No one came. I stood, walked the aisle. Every passenger frozen in time. One mid-bite, another mid-sentence. Expressions slack, some smiling, too much. The air felt thick, not pressure, like time had density. I reached the galley, empty. No attendants, no food. Just a mirror with words in condensation. Turned back. I opened the restroom. Inside was a window. Planes don't have windows in the restroom. Outside, darkness. Pure, complete. No stars, no moon. Just a void with a glowing number. 999999. I returned to my seat. The man next to me blinked. He turned slowly. We've been on this flight before. What? I asked. This isn't the first time. They make us forget. I checked my phone, no signal. One photo remained in my gallery, but I didn't take it. It was of me, asleep, on this flight. Caption, Cycle 34. I tried to warn others, no one listened. They all said the same thing. Almost there. Almost there. The pilot came back on. In preparation for arrival, please close your eyes and forget. What would you do if your flight never landed, and no one else seemed to care? Comment below. Because sometimes when a flight is delayed, it's not weather, it's eternity. I tied a pen around my wrist, left myself a message on my arm. Don't sleep. But I must have. Because when I woke up, it was 8 p.m., and we had just taken off. They kept calling my name.
Final boarding for passenger Evan Torres.
But when I arrived at the gate, the door was shut. Everyone gone. The agent looked confused. You're early. Boarding isn't for another hour. I showed her the messages. They were gone. Then she asked the chilling question. Did someone tell you to board early? Behind me, someone whispered, we don't like when they resist. Let's rewind. I'd been on a business trip to Denver, flight back home, scheduled for 11:55 p.m. I checked in early, went through security, grabbed a snack, sat near gate C19. That's when I got the first alert. Gate change. C22, final boarding now. I blinked. Big jump. Checked the board overhead. Still said C19. Then a second alert. All passengers on flight 3081 must proceed immediately to gate C22. Doors closing. I panicked. Never had 2 warnings in under 60 seconds. I bolted toward gate C22. The gate area was empty. Just the agent. Just the door, already sealed. She looked at me, raised eyebrows. You're here way too early. But I just got 2 boarding alerts. There haven't been any announcements. I showed her my phone, blank. No notifications, no record of the gate change, no timestamp. I should have walked away, but her tone, it changed. Did someone tell you to board early? What do you mean? I asked. She leaned in, whispered,
They sometimes send the message to the wrong version of you.
That's when I heard it, behind me, whispered.
We don't like when they resist.
I spun around, the terminal, empty, utterly, completely, silent. Even the lights dimmed. I tried to leave, but every hallway led back to gate C22. No matter which way I walked, no matter how many left turns, I ended up facing the same blank gate door. Then I noticed something wrong with the airport map. It had changed. All the terminals replaced with one word, U. The corridors began to pulse with a low sound like a heartbeat. I ran again, through an emergency exit. Alarms didn't sound, no staff followed, just cold wind from the tarmac. Blinking runway lights. I looked up, planes frozen mid-takeoff, mid-air, unmoving, like someone hit pause on the whole world. I ducked behind a cargo container, tried to call for help, but my phone showed a single message, Flight 3081, final boarding, no more delays. Then the sound of footsteps, dozens, in sync, coming closer, not running, just walking. When I peeked out, I saw them. Copies of me, hundreds. All boarding a ghost plane parked in the fog. Each one emotionless, expression blank. All but one. One turned toward me, smiled, and said, "We've saved you a seat." What would you do if an airport started showing only your name? If you were the last passenger, and every exit led you back to the same place? Drop your thoughts below, because some flights aren't departures, they're abductions, and the ticket was already punched the moment you bought it.